My name is Morgan Dollar, and I'm here as a translator.
The designation bestowed upon me at nascency is West Daniel. I appear this evening before you to provide discourse with Mr. Nicholas of the family Bockwinkel.
His name is West Daniel, and he's here to talk about Nick.
I hereby beseech Mr. Bockwinkel to bifurcate himself from the various and sundry confabulations and miscellaneous undertakings of which he is enthusiastically colluding and consort with me upon the dais.
Nick, stop talking and get your ass up here on stage. Throughout the duration of your illustrious pursuit of a career as a professional grappler, you were as unceasingly recognized for your superb oratory abilities as you were for the skillfulness of your wrestling adeptness. You knew how to talk, and you was a pretty good wrestler.
It is due to your much-hearkened grandiloquence that you are at hand for this memorable affair to accept this most treasured and inestimable bestowal.
Because you are a good talker, here's your present.
It says, warning, I have a vocabulary in excess of 75,000 words, and I'm not afraid to use it.
It says, warning, I have a vocabulary in excess of 75,000 words, and I'm not afraid to use it.
Welcome, wrestling fans. Don the Matt Nicholas Age out here at the Riviera Hotel and Casino in beautiful Las Vegas with the CAC convention 2008. And oh my God, I'm just like a kid in a candy store. It is great. We've got everybody here: Steve Dr. Death Williams, Manny Fernandez, Terry Funk, and the list goes on. And of course,
the nastiest witch of them all, the woman that eats light bulbs and drinks Drano, Luna Vachon, the nastiest woman that ever stepped foot in the squared circle, if you know what I mean.
That's right, and history runs deep with this lady here. I'm telling you, the Vachons. Honestly, now, I'm just going to get right to the point. When you've seen, Mad Dog and everybody else in the ring, was it something that you wanted to pursue, or did they kind of like give you a little bit of a nudge to...
They gave me a big nudge to stay out of it, actually.
Oh, really?
My aunt was one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. She was known as the wrestling queen.
Yes.
And she wrestled like a man, and she was one tough hombre. And I used to be so close with my aunt because she was only 11 years older than me, her being the baby in the family. So I grew up going on the road and following her and cleaning up the dressing room for her and helping her put the curlers in her hair, and that's all I wanted to do was be like my Aunt Vivian.
I understand that. And yes, I mean, at that point in time, a lot of people had said that she was like ahead of her time, during that era, and one of the most beautiful women in the ring that graced the ring. So it's always a pleasure to go back into the archives and check your wrestling history on Vivian Vachon. I mean, it's
there's actually a movie out called Wrestling Queen, and it was produced by Snowman Productions, and you can find that every now and again in some little off-the-wall video store. But it's a great video because it has a lot of the old time guys in it. And
Right,
stuff.
absolutely.
And so you can take a look at that.
It was like almost like one of the first type of documentaries of the time back then.
Definitely.
You know.
My father and my uncle were promoting Montreal, a company called Grand Prix Wrestling, and so I would say that was like the early '70s when I was
Okay, absolutely. Now, with yourself, do you, at the time when you started getting in, into the business and really getting into the ring and all that, did you seem like it was still male dominant and there was like hardly any room for women at the time?
It's still very much a male dominated sport because behind the scenes mainly, with the help of Stephanie McMahon, it has become a little bit where there is a female behind the scenes in our sport that helps to orchestrate what's going on. But unfortunately, I thought that I was going to help change things. So in a world full of butterflies, I was going to be the caterpillar. And it takes balls to be it takes balls to be a caterpillar in a world full of butterflies. So I shaved my head, and I developed a gimmick that wasn't like anybody else's. There was a cowgirl, and there was a Indian girl, but there was no girl that was wild and crazy.
No,
was
and I tell you what,
nasty.
how have you not have lost your voice at times? It's screaming and clawing and just going totally crazy. I mean, oh my, she scares me. She scared me at the time.
Well,
And
I've torn my vocal cords, although I grew up around the greatest announcers when I first broke in, working in Florida around Kevin Sullivan,
Right.
for Gordon Soley. They never told me that I shouldn't be doing that from my throat, that I should be doing it from my diaphragm.
Right.
So I was getting on the plane one day, and this gentleman said, "Ma'am, I can fix your throat." And I said, "What?" And he said, "You've obviously torn your vocal cords somehow." So I don't know why, being around some of the Mean Gene Okerlund and some of the best announcers in the world, why nobody said to me, "Girl, stop doing that from your voice box. You're ripping your vocal cords." So me and my Uncle Mad Dog were the ones that aren't allowed to sing in the family. But other than that, screaming at 20,000 fans or being in a building like the Sky Dome where you want those people way up there in the cheap seats to hear you alive and awake and let them know that there's a commotion and that there's Hurricane Luna's on the way to the ring.
Now, as far as women wrestling is going, do you think it has made too much more of a turn to like the diva crap that's going on and not showing the talent that some of the women that get into the business for the reason to wrestle? Like back before the diva thing, there was actually like women's champions and they're good, legit women wrestling.
As
but
good
now,
as the guys. Now there's a girl running around out there called Nellie Neidhart, Jim Manville Neidhart's daughter.
Yes.
And I don't know what her status is as far as WWE, but I know that she's a little bit of a heavier set girl, but she is one of the best talents out there, and she could out wrestle most men and beat them four square right here in the middle of this floor.
Do you think that there should be more legit women wrestling out there now than how it's being presented now? I mean, because it's more of in my opinion, like an eye candy type thing, and taken away from the sport of wrestling.
Well, women are training real hard and they're learning, a lot of like good combinations. But as far as psychology of a match, like they can hit one or two big moves, but they don't tell a story with their match so much, and their matches don't really last all that long, which is from what I've seen. Which is a good thing. There's some girls that have some talent that are very beautiful, but there's also girls that maybe aren't so beautiful that aren't getting the opportunity to get into the squared circle because their weight or their beauty is holding them back. And this is the sport of kings and gentlemen. It's not the sport of bimbos and booth jobs. So if you can't wrestle, you ought to keep your ass out of the ring.
And there you go. She's and it's point taken, and it's honestly true because I have myself fans. I've been in the business for about 10 years now, and I run into a lot of girl wrestlers out there that want to wrestle and they don't want to be casted out there for the TNA type thing. They want to go out there and do something that they love. And the only promotion out there right now that's working with Ring of Honor is Shimmer. And Shimmer is an all-woman wrestling league, the best all around. Shimmer.com. You can't go wrong with that. But you know, kind of getting back with you and so forth. You did the oddity thing, and all. Was that a fun type thing with you at the time that they were doing it? Or?
It was such a joke. All the other wrestlers hated to draw the oddities, and the interesting thing about it is when you would come across a good piece of talent like Jeff Jarrett, who would sit back and he'd think, how am I going to do this match and I'm going to make this match good?
Right.
Where a lot of people, they would draw the oddities and it was like, oh God, I've got to be in the ring with these giants and they can't work and they're all gimmick and stuff. And so it was great when you get somebody that draws, and Jeff Jarrett would draw us, and he'd want to have a good match, and he'd figure out how everybody could play into the match and it'd be good. And that's what real wrestling is all about, is how can we help each other in this dance to make it the match, the common denominator of making a good match. Not, oh, I've got to be up, or I got to be, I got to get this move and that move in. The thing is that you're working towards having a good match and entertaining the people. And somewhere a lot of big-headed fools and steroided up idiots forget that this is wrestling. And in wrestling, if we're looking at it from the entertainment aspect, the bottom line is every 18 inches. And if we don't entertain the people, we're not going to keep putting assholes every 18 inches.
Right.
And unfortunately, we got away from pleasing the fans, and we worked towards more like pleasing each other in the locker room, which is way out of bounds.
Right. That's like if it wasn't for the fans, it wouldn't be there to begin with.
Exactly.
And it's losing. It's just like. It's losing the aspect of why they're in the business to begin with.
And there's so much gaga talk. I don't, when you turn on and you got to listen to Vince for 15 minutes. Well, Vince has been good to me, and I appreciate what he's done, and Vince has been bad to me, and I appreciate what he didn't do. But through all the good and the bad and the indifferent, wrestling is wrestling, and I don't want to listen to you, Vince. I mean, God love you, but I don't want to listen to you every time I turn wrestling on. Right. Therefore, you've lost me, And so hopefully there's going to be some changes made in the near future where possibly he doesn't have the monopoly on it. I'm happy he's done things for the industry where we never expected it to go this far, but in its own way, listening to the Vince McMahon show, it's not showing me good wrestling, and I tune in to watch wrestling.
Absolutely. With wrestling, was there ever a favorite person that you liked to wrestle? Back in the day, like if you knew that, wow, I'm gonna face so and so and so, I know I'm gonna have fun.
Definitely Sherri Martel.
Sherri Martel.
Yeah, she said. Well, I love Miss Texas Jacqueline too, but Sherri more than Jacqueline. Sherri, you could knock her east and west, and we'd have them going, and the people would be going nuts. And one night I broke her nose, and I was like,
Did you really?
I'm sorry. And I'm in the ring, and I can't even touch her. I'm so sorry. And she said, it's good for the business. There's time for I'm sorry in the locker room. Keep going. And blood's gushing down her face, and she's going, keep going.
Yeah, she was marked as a very tough individual herself, and had tried very hard to make that breakthrough, for women wrestling. So, I mean, another great hand. I mean, unfortunate, for, the timing,
well,
the passing.
I think the unfortunate thing is that when Vince was in the steroid trials, I don't think, when he was in the steroid trials, he cut people off from doing Sherri liked to smoke pot. Sherri was great smoking pot. And when we went into the steroid trials, she was no longer allowed to smoke pot. And I totally messed Sherri up. And that sent her into doing the things that she was allowed to do, which which I'm sure her body was in a lot of pain. But that's where it seems like that was the beginning of the end.
Right.
When she would be better. Some people can go out and drink all night, and that's good for them. I personally can't smoke pot. I can't drink. I can't do any of those excessive things. But Sherri was fine when she smoked her pot. And when she wasn't allowed to do that, she looked for that was her pain relief.
Right.
And so she looked to other ways, and that snowballed. And so it's almost because of the steroid trials that I hold that responsible for her demise almost, because she wouldn't have gone downhill.
I understand it. Yeah, and it's true. I mean, because your body itches for some other type of relief or vice to take away,
the pain.
Right,
and
absolutely.
That was able to. She could sleep, and she wasn't in pain. And then once she got hooked on them, I don't know. She was just one of the greatest girls. She was a living angel, and she was a tough.
Yeah, she was, because I had the opportunity to meet her in Wisconsin a few years back, and as beautiful as she is, she's always had that gleam in her eye, and I mean, beautiful lady. Always went out to her work. Anytime you could, Google it or YouTube it, check out Sherri Martel. I mean, this is, forefront, just like Luna Vachon here, giving other girls in the business that, wow, this is what I want to do. I mean, it's because it's people like you and Sherri and a lot of other the ladies that are out there, Fabulous Moolah, at the time, and that's like going back, and it's a great thing to do, because, you help pave the way for other girls to have that dream and not to be scared to go into that boys' world, so to speak, and all that. A quick road story. Anything kind of funny kind of sticks out of mind? Like a good rib on somebody, or just,
It's really hard. Somebody else asked me about that today, and it always seems to involve Owen in some way or another. Owen is another, was one of the most beautiful people you'd ever meet, and he sort of took care of me. But
that's good.
It would be so funny. Him and Brett would listen to books on the tapes in the car going down the road. And they would be placidly going down the road, and I'd be at a toll plaza or something, and I'd look over, and there would be, the Bulldog and Nightheart, like pushing them through the toll plaza, something like that, There'd be, like I'd be traveling behind Brett and Owen, and you could see them, they're just like enjoying life and listening to their unbridged version of this or that, and then here would come a car racing down the road, and it would be the British Bulldog and Jim the Anvil, and they'd see Brett and Owen and start throwing cans at them, garbage, and one night I just saw this car just bumper pushing it through the toll plaza. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it would always be something with Brett and Owen always were.
Always
the best.
The rivers, so to speak, right? I tell you what, one last one. If somebody wanted to get into business today, says, Luna, what should I do? What can I do? What needs to be done? For anybody that's out there that's wanting to get in today, what would one piece of advice you would ask, or you would tell them about getting into the business?
Watch tapes, watch tapes, watch tapes, watch tapes. Go to sleep, watch tapes, wake up, watch tapes. Do not watch tapes of what's happening this week on Raw, but go back to the old tapes, because the only thing that's new in wrestling is what's been forgotten. And what's been forgotten is the good old basic wrestling, Tennessee style wrestling.
That's right.
Mid-South style wrestling. Go and borrow from those tapes. The only thing though is what's been forgotten. Thanks for the interview.
No problem. There it is, wrestling fans, Nicholas H. with the one and only Luna Vachon. I tell you what, anytime she's in an area near you, check this lady out, because I tell you what, this right here, I just can't say it enough. I love her so much. There it is, fans. We'll see you soon.
I just wanted to tell you, you were the first professional woman wrestler I ever had a crush on. She was beautiful. And growing up in the Midwest, I look forward for the weekends to see you on TV, and it means a lot to be here today for your last match. It really means a lot to me to be here. I am honored to be here.
I'm not going to listen to you. People came here to see Luna and I. Luna, I watched you growing up as a kid, you and your family. You're one of the reasons why I wanted to get into Squared Circle. You're the most beautiful, talented, sexiest, intense woman wrestler or woman I've ever seen. All I want to do in my career, all how I want to be remembered, is to have as much respect as you do in the back of the boys. No one respects you as much as all the workers do all over the world. You have done so much for women like me. I look at your intensity, your charisma, your ability to go out there and do what you do and still be sexy. You do everything the guy does, but you have to look sexy doing it. In my matches, I try to think of what people would do. I try to put the intensity behind every kick, punch, stomp, anything. I think of you. I channel you. And as much love and respect as I have of you, this is the future, and you will always go down as the greatest women's champion in the world. But, as I said, this is the future. And you say you were going to retire. I say you're soft, not retiring. So you're looking at the new face of women's wrestling. So you might as well just hand over that belt, sweetheart.
legends here. Of course, my favorite, Nick Bockwinkel. A complete, true honor to even be here amongst all of you.
You know, about her, and I think it will explain everything. She is the only woman that I know that's a sister, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and an aunt of professional wrestling champions. Myself,
I'm very honored to be here. I guess the older you get, the better it gets. And I want to thank Bob. And I want to thank everybody. It's good to see people I haven't seen in a long time. And should have come to College Motor Alley a long time ago. But I guess I didn't take the time.